Alright, me. It is. Alright, me. It is the next day, and I have just finished reading five comic one-act plays written by Anton Chekhov. Anton Chekhov, most famous for Chekhov's gun. That, you know, if you're going to put something that is inherently violent, like a gun, and make note of it within the first half of the play, it must be used within the second half of the play, right? That's the payoff that occurs with it, which comes from one of his plays. I don't remember which one exactly, which they single out. I think it's like a hunting rifle, and then like the ending is someone important in the play gets shot by the hunting rifle. I don't remember exactly. I don't recall having ever read that play before. So that's that. But these five comic one-act plays, right, they are snippets of a much larger, right, play. They are, not only are the one act, but usually one scene, maybe two scenes at best, if you were to break it up, which is much more of a, like, these are characters that are exploring one specific note within themselves or within society and things. What I do find very interesting about all these plays is that they do tend to have they kind of run on two notes, right? They run on the first note being that, like, spontaneous violence and anger is comedic in ways, and then the second being that, like violence and hatred and love are expressions of the same intensity and volume, right? And so, like, within these five plays, two of them are, it is, because this is also written out of order on the backside, the Unwilling Martyr and the Anniversary. Unwilling Martyr is a very, very short story about one man getting increasingly upset about all the things that he has to do when he's supposed to be on vacation, and, like, the fact that it's not a vacation because there's all these other chores that he has to do because people keep asking him for favors, or that he needs to keep running errands to prepare, right? Which is pretty common stuff, right? I think that's something that everyone understands, that any sort of traveling requires so much preparation that there is no rest, there's no relaxation. And then his friend that he's complaining to asks him for like 4 favors while he's in this one area, and then gets and starts chasing him and threatening to kill him, right? And so, like, it's this inner speaking of what we wish we could do very often, of we are complaining about having to do so much and have so much on our plate, and then as we are doing this, someone asks us for more, right? Because to them, right, there's such small things that just take time, right? It is like, hey, can you go deliver this while you're there? And it's like nothing, but a pile of nothings is something, right? So yeah, and then the other play that is more like violence, is spontaneous violence over minuscule things is funny, is the Anniversary, which is set in a bank, and, like, I don't know, the manager, I think, and his secretary are like dealing with, hey, we gotta do this, we have this report that's gotta be finished by today, and then them just dealing with, oh, the manager's wife has come back from a trip and wants to tell them all about this, and then they can't get any work done, and then this woman that doesn't seem to have an understanding of where her money comes from and where her husband's money comes from, is demanding things, demanding money and then demanding a job for her husband, and then they just don't get any work done. And then, oh, the report and the speech has to be made, and it's going to be, the managers can be given all these awards, and the people giving the awards come in, and his office is a disaster. There's people crying. It's a mess, right? And that's another, like, there is within that a lot of spontaneous violence that occurs over minuscule things, right? But it's that same point of all these small things, all these things that inherently mean nothing, are building themselves up and continuously happening, and therefore it makes these tiny things mean so much. The wedding, I would say, also probably occurs within this, where the wedding is the last play in these 5, but just picks a wedding scene, and it becomes a dispute over money and over manners, right? Of where part of it is me not necessarily understanding a whole lot of Russian culture, and therefore not understanding quite where people are coming from with these things. But the huge plot point of the wedding is they're trying to get a general to the wedding, of just to have someone who is significantly dignified and honored at the wedding. And then the guy goes out, he's given 25 rubles to go give to the general, to make the general come to the wedding, and then he doesn't get a general, he gets like a second captain or something, lieutenant colonel, something of the sort. And then pockets the 25 rubles. When this comes to light, the military man, the lieutenant colonel, storms off and throws a fit, and there was like, what's this all about? The entire time as well, lieutenant colonel is just like talking about ships and talking about whatever, and is not letting the wedding proceed as it should. So yeah, that play is very much like to me it's a comedy in the traditional sense of there's a wedding at the end, and therefore people are supposed to be happy, and there's dancing and things, and you know, but within it is a story of, oh, this not the best man, but like his, like the bridegroom's best friend, I think it is like, oh yeah, I'm corrupt the whole time, and I'm just pocketing the money. So yeah, and then the final 2, which are the bear and the proposal, are very much comedies based around the enemies to lovers type deal. The proposal goes into this. The neighbor comes over and he wants to propose, and in his proposal speech he says something about a specific area of land that he wants to give to her, and she's like, well, hold on a second, that land's always been ours, what do you mean? And then it becomes this massive fight over who actually owns that land. She doesn't realize that he's proposing. He storms out. The father comes back. It's like, what do you mean? He was supposed to propose to you. What happened here? And then everything gets settled again, and they're about to go. And he's about to propose, and then he mentions like a hunting dog, and then it devolves into the second argument about whose family has the better hunting dog. And it's this very interesting thing of like, you know, the trivialities that we choose to make matter are fascinating, because right, you're trying to get to this very, very important thing, right, which is marriage, right, and proposing and all of these things, which, right, even if in modern times we don't necessarily hold the same importance for those things, right, there's still ceremony around it, right, and that ceremony is so much more so at the time that these plays are written, right? So yeah, and then the final one, the bear, is is very much enemies to lovers of a wife who's had widow, I should say, husband passed away, you know, a couple months ago, is still in mourning 7 months later, and then some creditor comes around and is like, your husband owed me 1,200 rubles, and then like this man is coarse and is rough and is yelling and throwing a fit and threatening to take his own life and yada 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 yada, challenges each other to a duel, and then he's all of a sudden like, oh, this is the one who like set it up for herself. I actually like her a great deal. And then it ends with them kissing, and that's kind of it, right? Of where like they go from absolutely despising each other to the, oh, you actually are willing to stand up for yourself, but then also you want me to help you, because she needs the rough, coarse man to teach her how to fire a pistol for this duel that they're about to have. So yeah, it's another, you know, I'm trying to think of anything else to say about it really, but other than like, you know, it's another one of these stories of just like the trivialities that we exist within and pursue, as well as just like how we choose to view things significantly impacts how we perceive them, right? And the choosing to view the issue as, oh, she's standing up for herself, rather than she's a bitch, I hate her. It completely changes what's about to happen, right? So that's that. That's Anton Chekhov's 5 comic 1-act plays. In the order that they are in the book, it is, can't even off the top of my head, The Martyr, The Proposal, The Anniversary, The Bear, The Wedding, right? So that's that. That's Anton Chekhov.